Julie, and hello to all of you. So today I'm here to discuss about the subject of my interest, subject that I pursue, which is Buddhist studies. So whenever we say Buddhist studies, this subject is one of the least, pursued subject, I would say, in the academia, because most of the time, especially in the age of digital and technology, people pursue that kind of job, a subject which provide job and stuff. So Buddhist studies, as we all know, the subject is related to the study of Buddhism, the religion which was founded by Gautam Buddha in the some 2,500 years ago, and it is a rich and multifaceted field, I would say, with not only the philosophy of Gautam Buddha, but there are various other things like the historical development, how it has historically developed on the mainland of India, and how it bridged the vacuum of the ancient Indian history. From the period of Buddhism, we receive a proper written record of every event and incident that took place on the ancient India, and there are large number of sutras and literature available which provide insight about not only Buddhism or Buddhist philosophy and their particular practices, but also about their contemporary religion like the Brahminical religion and practices, along with Jainism and the six contemporary thinkers and so on. So, and it also provides a lot of ethical information. Buddhism is more or less like, compared to the Brahminical tradition, which was the main tradition, it is more of like, very institutionalized and systematic in their approach. So there is a proper set of ethical guideline, how a person can be ethically, the philosophical line, but also on the spiritual and various other, field. Then Buddhism has a vast cultural and religious impact on various part of the world, not only India but in abroad countries also. It has a deep impact on the culture of the North, South and Southeast Asia. And in the contemporary timeline also, the value that were embedded in the Buddhism or Buddhist philosophy plays a very important role to practice the ahimsa or non-violence and provide social justice. And one important thing about Buddhism is it provides an open platform for both gender, all kind of gender. But there are various aspects of Buddhism that it also highlight the scientific aspect. Like when we read Buddhism, we are not just reading the sutra, but it also highlight the several aspects of human consciousness on a deeper level if we go through the text of like Abhidhamma. So there are many things to think that many scholars have later explored from the teachings of Buddha, that he talks about the relationship between mind and body, and within mind he was, I think, the first person maybe from Asia to highlight the close relationship between mind and body. And within mind he compartmentalized the feeling, the part of feeling, then perception, then consciousness, and the different layers of consciousness and subconsciousness. So it involves psychology, it involves neuroscience and all those things. So Buddhism is a subject which is correlated with many modern sciences and also with the environment, because there are various environmental values and ethics embedded in the philosophy of Buddhism. So it has many sides. So that is why we do Buddhist studies, we pursue Buddhist studies, to understand from the perspective of its founder Gautam Buddha about what is his fundamental view about about the human life, about the environment, about the society, cultural norms and tradition, because Buddha was born in a tradition which practices sacrifices. It kills, offer sacrifices, lot of animals in the name of God and goddesses. So he was the one to raise question about such act which is not proper according to the human nature and human ethic. it's going against the law of nature. So apart from that, there are many religious custom and tradition that we have been carrying. So he was the first person, and there may be many more spiritual, spiritually realized person who have, questioned this particular thought and ideas that these things are not, right as per the law of nature. So that is why Buddhism became the favorite religion, I would say, at one point of time. That is why, and especially under various patronage of different dynasties or kingdom, it became one of the world major religion. And it plays a very important role, not only in India but also in the abroad, also foreign countries. So today, now we have been reading this in the Buddhist history, that many people had already mentioned, scholars have mentioned that the passage, the philosophy, the lineage have been somehow discontinued in the early medieval era with the invasion of Muslim and all those kind of thing. But somehow the practice and the philosophies were written in the memory of the people. So the linkage was not completely broken down. It was somehow continued in the places like Bihar, Bengal and Orissa. And if we trace the proper route, maybe we can find more substantial evidence to find out what happened after the ransack of Nalanda and other great monasteries, about the lineages and the practice of Buddhism. So Buddhism was not completely vanished from India, but it was because of the dominance force of other religion, it may be somehow remain on the back foot, that we can say. But somehow, unfortunately, we can say it hold a strong root in the country like China, then Tibet, then Korea, then all the Southeast Asian country like Thailand, Myanmar, Laos and Sri Lanka. So that is why whenever we discuss scope of Buddhist studies, there are several scope, and specifically when we talk about the scope of job in pursuing Buddhist studies, there are various job opportunities in Buddhist studies. Academic is one thing, academia is one thing, teaching position at universities, colleges, that focuses on Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist history and cultural studies. So that can be one job opportunities. And the second one is research. Now, engaging in scholarly research, publishing articles and books on various aspects of Buddhism. So this is another job opportunities. Second thing is to become a religious leadership, like we can say, by playing a role in monastic setting, especially for a monks and nun. They can while pursuing this kind of field of studies, they can become a very, very good or awaken, I would say, leadership in their monastic community or sangha. Then non-profit organization is another thing, working with NGOs that focuses on social justice, that initiate interfaith dialogue and incorporate Buddhist principle and work for the promotion of peace and harmony in the society. So that is another job opportunity. And the fifth is cultural preservation, to preserve Buddhist texts, Buddhist art, Buddhist heritage. Often, many people associated with mythology and archaeology, all these things also incline them with Buddhism, because most of the Indian art are Buddhist. So that way, there's another scope. Then therapeutic practices, that is this Vipassana meditation, that become a very important opportunity, I would say, that run on the non-profit level. They do not take any fees, but that is another scope, therapeutic practices. Then journalism and media, that is like writing any content about Buddhism, about spirituality, to solve the current issues and through the lens of Buddhism. And consulting, like most of the time, especially people these days, they're mostly stressed and they're living in a stressful environment. So this way one can work as a Buddhist consultant, maybe. It is another approach. Another one is translation. Translation is one of the very important job opportunity, I would say. But for that you need a good hold of language, whether it is Pali, Prakrit, Sanskrit, Hindi, English, Tibetan, Chinese, Japanese. So if you have a good hold on language, you can work in the translation. Translating Buddhist texts, there are a large number of Buddhist manuscripts that preserved in Tibet, in China, that need translation, or even in India that needs translation. So if you have a good hold on language, then you can work in the translation section and all those kind of thing. That can also give you a good job opportunity. And other one is, as a diplomat also you can work on, India is a place of so many religions, so all this diplomat, they inculcate the value of all religion, not only Buddhism, but all religions share some value of ethics. So all this religion, help a person to how to deal with the problem or situation. So that is another important career, I would say. So if one focuses on the Buddhist value, so many, even while I was pursuing my PhD, I was a bit confused about this particular subject, because it is not that it is the least, I would say, pursued subject compared to other subject like history, geography, science, and various subject in the arts and humanities. And especially Buddhism is the least pursued subject. But I've chosen this particular field because I was born in the Buddhist tradition, and I had no clear idea about what the teaching of Buddha was all about, because in my tradition, or in my culture and religion where I was born into, there also involves a lot of ritual, and many people, like lay people, are not aware of what we are doing exactly. So when I was born, it was in the 1988. So during that time people were not that much aware. These days we have smart technologies which help us to learn more about any religion or culture. So we get all kind of information quite easily, but back in time it was not so. So that is why initially I was also a bit skeptic about the pursuing this kind of job, this kind of subject. But then job was not the first thing I was looking for. For me, it was to find out some question. I was like highly obsessed with the idea of enlightenment. What maybe I thought after enlightenment the problem, all this worldly problem will be solved. It is not so. The problem will always be there. The thing is that your approach towards that and attitude towards that particular problem will change. So if you go through the any philosophy, not only the philosophy of Buddha, but philosophy of any other spiritual person or spiritual field. So yeah, that is what I understand. But most of the youngsters come to me and question me about the scope of Buddhist studies, and I found no particular video content on this particular topic. So that is why I have made this video, so that I cannot say that these studies will assure you of such and such kind of job. It is not the case with any other field. Maybe other subject, like for example history, philosophy, then people these days are pursuing various other subjects. Maybe they have more chances for a placement in various field or on various job. But Buddhist studies, you can go through the this kind of job opportunities. You can consider this scope or job opportunities if you have no idea what kind of job one will get after pursuing Buddhist studies. But we cannot assure you of 100% placement here. Most of the time in any field, whether it is BTech, MTech, all kind of scientific stream, or social science stream, it depends on student only, how much she is committed, how much she is interested. So as I have said, my first priority was not to get a job, but to understand something about Buddhism which I was not aware of. And through PhD, through master and PhD, I've tried to find out all those problems that used to irritate me a lot about my own religion. So then I've learned a lot in this process, and job is kind of like it fell on my lap, it fell on my lap. So after pursuing master, while going through semester only, I have cleared the net then I don't have to wait for PhD admission. Directly I got the admission. Then after that, before even finishing or submitting my PhD, I've got a contractual teacher here. So like that, maybe luck was also with me, but then I was also committed to understand something. And job was like, maybe I prepared. At one point of time, what happened, my mother kept on asking me about when you will gonna to submit your PhD thesis, and at one point of time she accused, and I was not even lying, because in PhD there's no fixed period, it depends on so many things. So most of the time, what as a PhD candidate, we laid out a certain framework or plan according to ourselves, but then there are a lot of things, condition, like the availability of the time of your supervisor and the time of the universities and all those kind of things. So there are a lot of things to consider, so it take a time. I was about to submit my thesis within 2-3 years, but then it ended up beyond 5 years, so I need to extend my period. So that is why my mother don't trust me at one point of time, and then I try to make her understand, because she's not that much educated. So such kind of thing happen in this field. But if you are committed enough, then definitely many door and windows will open for you, if you remain truthful, if you remain faithful, if you remain committed, and if you do not possess any blind expectation and faith. Nobody will come to you and offer you opportunities. It is you that have to cross the barrier to reach to the people, to find out things. So, and also throughout your period of PhD, you have to be very careful enough of your conduct, of your behavior, of your research. If you provide a good product, if you offer a good product in the form of your internal thesis, then definitely it will take you somewhere. So similarly with any field or discipline, not even in the higher institution, famous institution also, not everybody get 100% placement. So that is why at this particular time, in the age of digital technology, it's important to consider your interest. What is your interest? So if you are in, because it plays a very important role. So my interest was of course in Buddhism, so that is why I pursued, and there are certain questions also which I wanted to figure out. So that is why I was in this particular field. Suppose if I'm interested in digital technology, programming and all those kind of things, then why would I be in this particular kind of field? So I would go to some other field, I would choose some other field or other discipline. So in Buddhist studies, there are various scope, but most of the students are not clear, so they keep on asking me what is the scope of pursuing Buddhism, because Buddhist studies is a subject that not many of people are aware of. So people come and ask in Buddhism what people study, what language, in what language they deliver lectures. So we use English, we use Hindi. In Tibetan studies, they do use Tibetan language. In Chinese, they use Chinese language. In Pali, they use, all the language, they use particular language. But in Buddhist studies, we mostly use two languages. One is Hindi, English, and if need requires, we use the local language also to explain certain thing or concept. So, but Buddhist studies is something which is not available in all state and central universities. There are few universities only. So one is now Nalanda Mahavihar, which is one of the old universities, and another one is Gautam Buddha University, then Sanchi University, Delhi University. I think the first university maybe to consider Buddhist studies as a stream or discipline, then Jammu University, then Banaras Hindu University, then Sarnath. In Sarnath also there's a Central Institute of Tibetan Studies, then CIBS in Ladakh, then in Dahung also there's another university. So then in Mumbai maybe there's another university that offer a subject of Buddhist studies. So there are few universities that offer a subject the Buddhist studies. So a student, before pursuing and before opting this kind of subject, must make themselves aware of the scope, about the subject, about the language, so that at the end of the day they do not end up with regret, why I have chosen this particular topic, there's no scope, this and that. So it is important and responsibility of themselves in the age of technology to make them aware, make themselves aware of particular topics. So many students, when I was doing PhD, many students opted Buddhist studies just as an optional subject so that they get facilities in hostel and other university facilities. So I felt bad when I saw that kind of thing, but then I thought maybe it's okay if people are interested in other subject and they are using Buddhist studies, then maybe that's good, that's okay. But regarding the job and all those things, it is essential to be committed to any particular subject, not only Buddhist studies, but suppose if you have chosen English, Hindi, history, archaeology, you have to be committed enough, you have to be like assertive enough and confident enough of your subject, so that when you go out and face the interview, the interviewer will find you capable of providing you, offering you job and all those kind of thing. But if you do not find any kind of suitable job, then there are various other entrepreneurial activities that you can do pursuing Buddhist studies, like tourism. Buddhist tourism is one of the famous subjects through which you can set up your own travel businesses that you can do. So in that way, Ladakh and many other places in all over the world, people are earning a lot of things. So if you have that kind of business mindset, then you can Buddhist studies can offer you a lot of things. So this is one of the small insight that I would like to share, because I'm seeing student here and student in the Jammu also, when I was doing my PhD, that most of the students just choose this particular subject out of in an optional way, suppose or as a secondary subject only, not as a primary. But what I would like to say here is that if you are truly interested in the Buddhist studies, then definitely you should come and seek admission in Buddhist studies. But if you have other area of interest, then definitely you have to. I would not lie that pursuing PhD you will get 100% job and placement, but this subject will not ended you up in regret, because it will teach you something which will be beneficial for your lifetime, because it talks about value, ethics, and lot of things that are related to human anxiety, human suffering, day-to-day problem that we face while dealing with the society. So Buddhism offer a lot of insight to all this kind of questions. So it is I find it very interesting. So that's I would like to share. Maybe it will help some of the younger generation. So that's much for today. Thank you so much and have a good day.